Hi, good evening, folks. We'll be starting the free career masterclass on time. Thank you for joining in early. And I can see a lot of introductions coming in on chat here. So I'm your host, Rasha Khan. I'm joining all the way from Bangalore, India. And I am thrilled to be a host today. So drop us a hello and let us know where are you tuning in from. And we can start a conversation on the chat here. So I can see few folks who have joined already and have already started giving their introductions. So I can see Shobna has joined from Tamil Nadu. I can see Abib has joined from Ethiopia. Forsen has joined. Please do let us know where are you joining us from. And also I can see Mohammed Jahan Zaib has joined from Karachi, Pakistan. And more introductions coming in as we speak. So that's great. And someone asked, what is the duration of this masterclass? So the duration of this masterclass is of 60 minutes and we'll be starting just on time in few minutes. Meanwhile, would love to know where are you joining in from and also your name. Sometimes you're not able to make out your name from your email ID. So that's why. Awesome. Keep the introductions coming in because it's always good to network, right? These events. So let's network a bit before we start. As we can see, folks are joining in globally, not just from India. So that's great. And we'll be starting the free career masterclass here on preparing your blockchain career for 2024 top do's and don'ts we'll be covering in this masterclass. So before we start, let me quickly take you through the few ground rules we have here. Meanwhile, you can keep the introductions coming in. Please introduce yourself on chat here. So if you have any question for our speaker who has already joined us, Sandeep Shukla today, you can put down your questions in the Q&A box. The session is being recorded. You can expect a follow-up email with recording link, webinar certificate, and a bonus offer for the program, which will be talking about IIT Kanpur program. And also, to request a proof of attendance for this webinar, you need to enter your full name in the post-webinar survey. We'll talk more about that towards the end of the session in case you have any questions about that. And let's talk about the agenda of today's career masterclass. So we'll be getting to know a little bit more about you, how we can help you out better in your career in blockchain. We'll be talking about careers in blockchain technology in 2024. We'll be talking about how you can prepare your blockchain career for 2024, top do's and don'ts. And we will be talking about what this program offers, program in blockchain, and the enrollment steps of the program. And also there'll be a special duration for the Q&A part. So we'll try to take as many questions as possible if we get time during the session. In case we are not able to answer your question during the session, we will definitely answer it towards the end. So please don't worry, have some patience and also just keep the questions related to blockchain. That's all. So before we start, as I said that we'll be getting to know a little bit more about you. So I'm just launching a quick poll here to understand how many years of experience do you currently have? Now, when we talk about experience here, it is a work experience which we are asking for. So you can see 4 quick options here on the poll launched. Currently studying 0 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, more than 5 years from now. So please select the most suitable option for you as per your working experience. This actually will give us a very good understanding on whether which experience path you're coming from. And usually we see a lot of folks who join come from different set of experiences. So that is also interesting, right, to be a part of the crowd who actually has different set of experiences. So before we start, folks who I can see a lot of folks who are joining just now. We are just starting off. You have joined just right on time. And we're just doing a quick poll to know a little bit more about you. You can see that quick poll on your screen here. And as we're speaking, we see a lot of introductions coming in. I see a lot of folks have joined not only from India, but even from outside of India, from Pakistan, from Ethiopia. I can see someone from Zimbabwe, Tatinda from Zimbabwe. Please correct me on the pronunciation for your name if I'm wrong. And I can see Paul has joined from Singapore. And I can see Ravi Kumar has joined from Bangalore. And Akbar has joined from Tamil Nadu. So once again, welcome everyone. I am your host for today's webinar, Rasha Khan here, joining all the way from Bangalore. And I'm really thrilled to be a host today. And we are looking forward to an interesting session upcoming. So I think I can see most of the folks have already responded for the poll here. So I'll just quickly give 5 seconds more for the poll for a few of the folks who are still responding to the poll here. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll and also share the results with you folks. So as we can see that 29% of the folks are currently studying, and 42% of the folks have 0 to 3 years of experience, and 26% of the folks have more than 5 years of experience, and few of the folks have 3 to 5 years of experience. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. That definitely gives us an understanding of you folks, where are you joining us from. And as we move on, as I mentioned earlier, that we already have a speaker here with us, Dr. Sandeep Shukla. Dr. Sandeep Shukla, first of all, welcome. And thank you for taking the time out for this career masterclass. We have an interesting topic lined up for today's session. So would you like to give us your introduction to the crowd here before we start?
Yeah, thank you, Rasha, for asking me to be here. And so I'm Sandeep Shukla. I am actually a professor of computer science and engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology in Kanpur. And I have been coordinating the national blockchain project here at IIT Kanpur. I am also a joint coordinator of the Interdisciplinary Center for Cybersecurity and Cyber Defense for Critical Infrastructure. And I'm also a director, one of the program directors for a technology innovation hub on cybersecurity called C3I Hub. And I did my studies, bachelor's in India and then master's and PhD from State University of New York in the US. And I have designed the Simplilearn blockchains course. And I teach masterclass on this topic every month for those who are in that program. And I look forward to the discussion tonight.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sandeep, for your introduction. We are really happy to have you and looking forward to this session today. Folks who have just joined us right now, I see a lot of new folks also joining in just right now. We just started. So in case you have any questions for our speakers, Dr. Sandeep today, please do put down your questions in the Q&A box. So not on the chat because we get a lot of messages in the chat and we might miss it. So yeah, that's all. So I think let's start with about careers in blockchain development in 2024. So as we can see, the hottest skills in the blockchain space, which is upcoming in 2024. Dr. Sandeep, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So in 2024, so blockchain started with the Bitcoin blockchain in 2009. So it's been about 15 years since the inception of the blockchain idea. And initially, the blockchain was mostly related to cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana, etc. But over time, people realized that blockchain is a kind of like a distributed way of not only storing data, but also to store data in a chronological order, and also to make it tamper resistant so that the data is not tampered with. And that could have multiple different applications because we often need a guarantee against tampering of past data or change of the chronological order of data because those things matter in many applications. Plus, the other idea is that oftentimes, in many applications, blockchain, in many applications which are centralized, there the data is kind of stored in one central entity, and that central entity has full power to do anything with that data, including reuse that data for other purposes, modifying the data, delete some data, etc. So oftentimes, so in blockchain, when you store data on a blockchain, you actually distribute the copies of the data and continue to update the copy at every location. So if you have 3,000 locations where the same data is being stored, then tampering in one or two places will not make much difference, and that's where the tamper resistance property comes in. Plus, you get better fault tolerance because you have the data, even if one or two of the places where the data is stored is unavailable at the moment, you can still access them. Plus, everybody has the visibility into the data. Everybody who is involved in maintaining this blockchain has the visibility into the data. So therefore, they can actually easily define some kind of an workflow on that data. So that's where it is, and therefore it is finding a lot of application, such as in the property registration data that government keeps about any property sale or property purchase, etc. It can be used for various kinds of applications related to banking. It can be used also for creating a digital currency system. You can keep track of where your produces, like, for example, when you find something in your supermarket, which farm it came from and which kind of processes it went through and where it came from, through what kind of conveyance and storage houses and etc. it came from. All that information can be actually kept in a blockchain in a rather tamper-resistant manner, and also in a convenient manner, because multiple different entities will have to put that information in that data storage. So therefore, we find that in 2024, there is a lot of excitement still in the blockchain space, and it's kind of narrowing to in some sense that there are certain types of applications. People are understanding what types of application where blockchain is useful, and what types of application where it is less useful. And in that context, you have jobs that for developing new blockchains. For example, there is of course Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. There is Hyperledger, but there are new blockchains you can develop which are maybe lightweight, or which is more secure, or which has certain other properties that are not necessarily available in one of the existing blockchains. Then you have to secure the blockchain, because it is being run by many different nodes, that many different computers that are distributed all over the place. There are protocols through which these nodes communicate with each other to update the blockchain, and all to actually also agree on what update should be applied to all the copies of the blockchain, and so on. So cybersecurity of blockchain is very important. Governance of a blockchain. So how do you govern the blockchain? Because it is basically multiple different organizations that are coming together to run a system that maintains a blockchain. So you have to have certain contracts between these various entities to govern the blockchain. There is also a new field of finance called decentralized finance, that is actually using mostly cryptocurrency blockchains, or some form of permissionless blockchains. So developing applications in the decentralized finance, such as borrowing and creating liquidity and etc. Those kind of applications. There is also this kind of digital assets, so tokenization of real world properties, tokenization of bonds, or tokenization of securities, etc. So this is the NFT and digital assets. Of course, cryptocurrency, understanding how the cryptocurrency world works, and find investigation into cryptocurrency-based criminal activities, money laundering, terrorist financing, etc. So that is there. If you want to create a new finance application by creating your own tokens, so you have to understand tokenomics. You can do various kinds of analytics in blockchain. You can also develop programs that run on every node which are maintaining the blockchain, so that it's not a single node which is running your program. So the integrity of the results that you're getting is guaranteed, because every node has checked the results. So those are called smart contracts. So smart contract development, integration of multiple different blockchains is very important, because a lot of blockchain applications have been developed in silos. So now people are now saying that how are these two applications going to talk to each other? So you have to do cross-chain integration. Then there is also privacy issues, data protection issues that come up, because in permissionless blockchain, most of the data is visible to everybody unless you do something different, like you do some privacy coins and so on. Distributed organizations. So distributed organizations are basically an application developed with the help of smart contracts. Those kind of basically you can run a company procedures and policies by programming it into a DAO. As I said, that supply chain, knowing where your supply is coming from, all the way to the field or all the way to the factory, that kind of information can be actually coded into blockchain. Interoperating blockchains is very important. As I said, that multiple applications have been developed in silos, and they have to talk to each other. So interoperability is important. Decentralized identity or self-sovereign identity is another application of blockchain. And then there is also tokenization of game assets and all that stuff, rewards, etc. Those kind of things are also taking a lot of bandwidth of innovators. So many of these things are actually happening. Some of these things may actually not prove to be the very well accepted in the market. We do not know yet, because these things will evolve over next decade or so. But right now, these are the areas where I see the skills that are required in various blockchain-based startups, large companies that are experimenting with blockchain-based applications. Yeah, so that's kind of the so it's a lot of things to actually understand in a very quick, in such a fast forward mention of the topics, but you can basically look these up later to know more about it if you haven't heard of some of these things. But just this is a pretty good list of skills that is required right now in the blockchain space.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sandeep, for giving us a really detailed explanation on the hottest skills in the blockchain space in 2024. So now we have talked about the skills here. Maybe let's talk about the few basic key tools, libraries, and platforms they will be learning, even in the program which we'll be covering. And someone who's basically aspiring to going towards a blockchain career, something they can start with as well, for the next year.
So yeah, so Bitcoin is the first blockchain. It's kind of canonical example of a blockchain. It has to be learned by everybody, even if they do not like Bitcoin or do not use Bitcoin or think that Bitcoin is too restrictive compared to, say, Ethereum, etc. Because Bitcoin basically brings in the concepts like hash pointers, the chaining of blocks using hash. The idea of using a private public key pair, where public key is used as an address of a wallet. The idea of consensus building to actually update the copy of the blockchain at every node. All these concepts come from Bitcoin. So therefore, Bitcoin has to be learned and understood before you can go anywhere with blockchain. But Bitcoin actually has this restriction that it's programmability. That is, if you want to automate transactions, that if this happens, then do this transaction, and if this two things happen, then do not do this transaction, etc. This kind of programmability is not there in the Bitcoin, and that's why Ethereum actually brought in the concept of programs running on the nodes of a blockchain, of the blockchain ecosystem, and that's where the smart contract ideas come. So Ethereum is the canonical example of a blockchain that has ability to run programs that are Turing complete programs. So that's where Ethereum comes in, and it has to be learned. Solidity is the programming language in which Ethereum smart contracts are written. So if you want to really experiment with Ethereum, you need to learn Solidity. Then, of course, there is this, and Truffle is kind of an experimental framework in which you can actually run your own experimental blockchain if you do not want to start putting smart contracts into real Ethereum, because that will cost you money. Then so Truffle is a free system that in which you can set up an environment in which you can write smart contracts, you can execute smart contracts, and so on. Then there is also enterprises, the companies, they do not like to use permissionless public blockchains like Ethereum or Bitcoin, because everything is out in the open. They might not like that because it might involve customer data and various things. So therefore, there are permission blockchains like Hyperledger. And so if you want to actually experiment with Hyperledger, how to write smart contracts on Hyperledger, etc., we normally use Hyperledger Fabric or Hyperledger Studio or something. So that is another thing that you probably need to learn. And then there is also a few other examples of chains like multi-chain. You have we have things like the IOTA, and we have things like Coda. These are some of the other types of blockchain. So there are right now about I would think that over 500 different types of blockchains in the business, some of which are very commonly used and some of are very obscure. So you cannot learn everything in one go, but once you learn some of these basics, you will be able to self-learn the other things.
Thank you so much for sharing the key tools and application platforms they should be learning in blockchain if they want to start out as a blockchain developer, and many career paths. That is where we are forwarding to. So the trending blockchain career paths in 2024 folks can take up. So as we can see, so there are so many careers they can take up in blockchain, but I think we are getting quite similar questions on someone who's coming from a non-tech background. Can they take a blockchain career? Maybe you can start with that, for someone who's basically just starting out, has no blockchain knowledge.
Yeah, so most of the students we get in this kind of a course do not have prior knowledge of blockchain, but they might have heard about blockchain. They might have attended some like masterclass like this to get an idea about what blockchain is all about, why are people talking about it, and where it is being used, and so on. But if you want to really make a career in blockchain, there is a one wide path and there is a one narrow path. I think the wide path is where you are good in programming. You are learning how to either create a new blockchain or add additional functionality of an existing blockchain, etc. Or you can write applications on top of an existing blockchain using smart contracts, DAO programming, etc. So these are some of the, and then most of the blockchain applications, of course, require a front end. And the front end has to be aware of the fact that the data storage is not a regular centralized data storage. It is actually a blockchain, and then accordingly they have to, their web. This is what is called Web3. That kind of designing Web3 based applications front end. There are people who would be actually learning a number of different blockchains, but they are good at actually conceptualizing where blockchain is useful and where blockchain is not going to help, and then how to actually construct the blockchain, which blockchain to choose, and what would be the structure of the interaction between various components like smart contracts. So those will go into blockchain architecture, but this requires quite a bit of expertise in developing large-scale software with distributed multi-component software. One can be a project manager. Project managers actually, when a company, a consulting company, or some company is actually developing some solution for a third party, they actually start a project with the third party, and that project has to be managed. That project management requires the person to have understanding of the problem domain and the solution approach, even if they don't really do hands-on programming to write smart contracts or change the protocols and things like that. But the project manager would be somebody who would be managing projects, but understanding of blockchain would actually make sure that they are not being fooled by the actual technical people in the program. The blockchain user experience designer. Blockchain is a little bit of new stuff. So many times people may not have a good understanding of what's happening with their data, what's happening with their transaction, whether the transaction is going through. So there would be some user interface that requires somebody to actually build screens and all that stuff, so for an application, so that the users feel like in a kind of seamless way they are understanding what is happening, even though they don't understand blockchain. So that's the UX designer kind of job. Quality engineer are the people who actually, blockchains are very error prone, especially writing smart contracts have possibility of introducing a lot of bugs, which could be very critical bugs. And so you need people who understand smart contracts and who understand testing, and know how to use testing tools for smart contracts and all. So those kind of quality engineers. Now the narrow path goes to people who are in the legal type of business, where you do not necessarily have to know the software engineering, or understand how to write programs, or how distributed systems work, what are the protocols that are used for connecting various nodes of the ecosystem, and so on. But there are legal issues of using blockchain. For example, if I want to tokenize a flat, like I have a flat and I want to sell it on a market on blockchain, and I create a token. Is that token even a valid under Indian laws, right? Because in India, to actually sell a flat, I have to go to a sub-registrar's office and register a deed of sale. If I sell the token, that does not accomplish what the law says. So there are legal repercussions, regulatory repercussions of creating a blockchain-based product. And so there may be a path that in which a legal person can get into blockchain world. I know a number of different lawyers who are very active in the blockchain space because they like technology. They do not necessarily do the programming or do architecting or things like that, but they understand they can abstract the problem to the legal problem and regulatory problem, and then they can actually work on that. But that requires the person have a very sharp legal mind.
Thank you so much for taking us to the trending blockchain career paths in 2024. I think we have a lot to explore. As we have talked about the career paths and the skill, as so the demand in the salaries of blockchain developers is also soaring. So we have gotten this source from Glassdoor, and you can see the salary average for a minimum blockchain developer in India today is 6 lakhs per annum, and an average salary of 18 lakhs per annum, and a maximum it can go up to 35 lakhs per annum. The hiring companies which we have are ACE and EY, one of the hiring companies, and many more companies which are hiring in the blockchain space. Now we'll be talking about how you can prepare your blockchain career in 2024 for top do's and don'ts. So let's start with the blockchain landscape in 2024.
Yeah. So, okay, one thing I want to say about jobs, the job situation in the world right now is very bad. So we are in IIT, we are just having placement last 3 days. And compared to other years, this year, the job situation is actually worse than the COVID year. 2020 was not that bad, not as bad as this year. There is, I think that there is some problems. Most companies actually hired a lot of people during the COVID period and the following year. And now they're letting go of many of these people. There is also AI based. Lot of jobs are going possibly not necessarily AI based programmers or AI based various like customer service, etc. Not necessarily have matured yet, but companies are kind of probably speculating that would be the case, and therefore they are also hiring very carefully. So what I understand is that the market situation is bad, and a lot of people are losing jobs who are coming into the market. When you lose a job after 5-10 years of experience, you have a better chance of getting in than a college fresher, etc. So that is the situation with respect to the jobs. Now, with respect to the blockchain jobs, also the same thing, because blockchain, as I said, is that there are a lot of innovation going on. So it's like in the innovation phase. So innovation with blockchain applications in the space of real world asset tokenization, creating new type of financial products other than the cryptocurrency and stable coins. There are financial products that are being created. There are green bonds and other markets that are being tokenized and being created. The NFT is kind of sort of like a passe right now. There was a huge boom of NFT sale and creation in 2021, but people did realize that NFT is not as useful or as an investment vehicle as they thought. So NFTs is not so common now, but the finance products that are being created has to also create within the legal regulations, because governments are becoming more and more worried about, after the various cryptocurrency exchange issues, like for example FTX collapsed and Binance got caught for money laundering and not checking for money laundering and so on. So there is a legal angle that people are thinking about. But there are also blockchain-based applications that has no financial implication, therefore not so much under the regulatory purview. Like, for example, supply chain, creating an application that keeps track of supply chain, or create an application that is used to share healthcare information of individuals across multiple hospitals. This kind of data sharing, or even in the banking, like letter of credit and things like that, are now being used. But again, the companies are kind of tiptoeing around this job market these days, because these things change, so they go in cycles, right? So 2020 was a little bad, and 21 really was good in terms of jobs, and 22 was also pretty okay, and then 23 is not so good, and then 18 was probably good, and 19 was probably good, but maybe 15, 16 were not so good. So these are the kind of things. But innovation is going on. So right now is a time of innovation. So if you have a very innovative mind, and you know how, you learn blockchain, and then you come up with new ideas, or at least join some startup or company that is trying to innovate in this blockchain space, you have the best chance of getting a job, because blockchain also has certain limitations that is being currently worked on. For example, the transaction rate, the rate at which transactions get processed in a blockchain is rather low compared to Visa, MasterCard, or things like UPI, for example. So therefore, there are a lot of innovations like layer 2 blockchains and interoperable blockchains, and there are also sharding in blockchains and so on. So these are the kind of innovations that are also going on. So if you have an innovative mind, and you have an innovative streak, then by learning blockchain, you can actually get into those kind of job and those kind of activities. But the hope is that, so since once the experimental phase gets over, like people realize that these are the applications where blockchain is good, and these are the applications where it probably not as good, and also regulatory understanding will be more clear, then expectation is that there will be very many jobs in blockchain in the applications that are eventually survive the initial innovation and experimentation phase. So that's where I think that the hope is that there will be jobs in that space.
There's definitely a lot of hope of a blockchain in 2024. We have a lot of expectation, and thank you so much, Professor Sandeep, for taking us through the landscape now. Now let's talk about the do's. Before we start with do's and don'ts, let's talk about the do's here. Stay informed and updated.
Right. So like any other technology, so if you go to not only blockchain, like if you go into AI/ML, or if you go into computer vision or natural language processing, or if you go to this what we call a large language model, LLM, GPTs, and so on. If you want to build a career, then you have to actually be abreast with the information and latest innovation all the time. If you just stay, whatever you learned in a particular course or something, and then hope that your career will grow, that is not going to happen, because these technologies change, evolve very, very fast. So so as I said, that 2009 we had this primitive thing, blockchain, a canonical example of blockchain, and now we are seeing, like, probably 500,000 number of different blockchains, different types of applications of blockchain, permission versus permissionless, then various types of consensus algorithms, various types of even the structure of the ledger. That blockchain is basically a ledger, but blockchain is a particular way of arranging the ledger in a sequence of blocks. But there are other ways, like creating DAGs, like the directed acyclic graph, and various other types of way of maintaining the ledger, various ways of building consensus as to what goes into the ledger. All that stuff has been developing on a daily basis, kind of like very, very fast. So therefore, you have to know what is happening, what is what is new in terms of blockchain applications, new types of ledgers, what kind of protocols are being used, etc. So therefore, you have to continuously learn, and courses are one way to learn. Reading all kinds of technology press is another way to learn. Attending various kinds of webinars and lot of panel discussions, webinars, even YouTube channels dedicated to blockchain technology and what is happening. And there are also not only technological issues, but also regulatory issues and legal issues that surround this technology. So you have to be abreast with all those information and resources. And then there are also various WhatsApp groups, there are LinkedIn groups, there are various types of communities, like India Blockchain Forum and Bharat Blockchain Alliance, and various things that are there. And getting involved with them will also allow you to actually know people who are good at these things and who are innovating and gain networking opportunities and so on. So I think, but most importantly is that if you think that, okay, I am not getting any jobs, so let me do blockchain, but I really don't care what blockchain is, why blockchain should be used, or what is so good about blockchain, why would somebody use blockchain compared to a centralized system, or vice versa. If you are not curious, and if you are not really excited about technological innovations, then it will not help you, even if you learn it very well, because these are cutting edge technologies, and where your enthusiasm, your penchant to do something different and something novel will be very important to actually make you propel you to a good success.
Thank you so much, Professor Sandeep, to get us started on the do's for blockchain. Let's move forward and talk more about the do's for a blockchain career in 2024. So diversify your blockchain skill set. I think you have mentioned this earlier as well, but I think we can talk a little bit more about this, because we're getting a few questions related to basically what is, I think I can see one question as you were talking about the job market here. So how is the competition for a blockchain job in the market? I think we've gotten one question from Shan Mukha Tarun. So I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Please do let us know.
I think it's Sanmukha.
Shanmukha.
I think that it's very difficult to get a good a person who has a very good understanding of what it is. So you can actually study blockchain, you can take a course in blockchain and still not understand what it is good for, why it is good, and why it is tamper proof, and why smart contracts are have some kind of a integrity guarantee. If you do not understand these basic things, you will be having hard time in the interviews, because in the interviews eventually you have to clear some interview. And when you that interview clearing the interview, most of the time people will like to see whether you fundamentally get the idea, whether you fundamentally understand what it is, rather than to check whether you know a specific language like Solidity or some other Rust or some other smart contract programming language, because that you can learn. But if your fundamentals are not clear, then you learning the syntax and a little bit of understanding is not going to help. So that's why I think it is very important that you not only study what is in a course or what is in some kind of a book, or whatever, because see, unless you see multiple different types of blockchain, multiple different types of interoperating multiple different blockchains and so on, like Cosmos or things like that, you are not going to actually get why is this better than the other, and vice versa, so that you actually can get this basic fundamental crux of the matters. It's not like somebody is creating newer blockchains just for fun. There are reasons why the previous blockchains did not satisfy the particular need of a particular group or particular company, and they came up with a different types of blockchain and type of distributed ledger technology. So if you do not see that those differences, if you do not understand why people went for Ethereum when there was Bitcoin, or why people went for something like the Hyperledger, which is a permission blockchain, and why instead of Hyperledger somebody would go to Coda, or why some organization decided that, well, block structured blockchain is not good, and they created IOTA or some DAX structured system. Always ask these fundamental questions. Do not just say that, okay, I know how Bitcoin works. I know how to write Solidity contracts, and I know how to set up a Hyperledger fabric network. Those are good. Those have to be learned. But ask the fundamental questions as to why you are doing something, and why a new type of incarnation is required, and where it is applicable and why it is not applicable, or whether it is applicable to anything at all. Those kind of questions you have to ask and get yourself satisfied by the answers, either by thinking about it or by asking some expert, or finding more about it in books and various materials that are available on the internet. So so one thing is getting proficient in the technology, and another thing is to actually understand it fundamentally, what is the main crux of the things. And without the second type, you may get a handle on how to write a few Solidity code and all that stuff, but you may not be able to crack an interview. So to crack an interview, you have to go into fundamentals and ask. And to get to the fundamentals, you have to have the habit of asking the fundamental questions, and that is very, very important.
Thank you so much, Professor Sandeep, for answering that. I think we'll move forward with another dose here, build a strong blockchain network.
Yeah, so I think I have already covered this, like, engage with the influencers and thought leaders on social media platform. And when we say engage, you do not necessarily have to message them. You just watch them. They have videos, and they have various panel discussions and things like that. Nobody wants to be bothered unless there is a very, very urgent reason for contacting them. But at least you watch a lot of videos. There are even podcasts about blockchain and all the stuff, and some of them you may not understand fully, but you get the idea about what is it that people are talking about, and what is it that people think are are useful and what is not, and what are the legal challenges that people are facing, and things like that. Attending conferences, meetups, and hackathons are a good idea if you can, but it may not be always possible. And then you have to also find mentors and advisors who can provide you guidance. But that will happen only when you demonstrate that you actually are onto something, right? Because if you just say that, okay, I'm interested in blockchain and help me out, then nobody would be interested. But if you show some work, like you create some projects, put them in GitHub, and then create a web front end for that, or run it on some kind of a cloud platform, and then you ask an expert to actually give his comments on that. That will be a better way of getting a mentor, rather than saying that, oh, I'm interested in blockchain, help me out. That's not a very effective way of getting mentors.
Definitely, that makes sense. I think starting a discussion, being a part of discussions, definitely is a good way to interact with the folks who you basically see as mentors as well. Let's start with the don'ts here. We have covered the do's. Let's start with the don'ts here. As we can see, neglect skill development. I think you have talked about skill development a lot during this webinar. But again, like don'ts of how you can basically have to neglect.
So I would say that some of the skills are necessary but not sufficient to be to actually make a career, right? So you have to know how the blockchain works. You have to know how to write a smart contract. You have to know how to set up a experimental set of nodes, maybe by using a multiple virtual machines or whatever. But those are skills, and those are necessary, because if you want to do something with blockchain, you have to have some skills. But then do not get complacent that, oh, I know the syntax of this Solidity, or I know syntax of Rust, or I know syntax of Java or C++, so I am good. Or I have set up a Hyperledger Fabric set of nodes using virtual machines on my computer, so I'm good. No, that's a necessary but not sufficient condition. You have to actually learn, as I said, that the crux of the matters. Why is it that it is that way, and why is it that it is used and not something else, and what are the, like, why would I use this kind of consensus algorithm under this kind of trust assumption? So for example, in Bitcoin, we assume that nobody can be trusted, so therefore I have to have a very strong consensus algorithm, because Bitcoin is open to everybody. Anybody can join the Bitcoin network and start validating transactions, or even build blocks if they want to, and if they have the right amount of computational resources. But you do not know their intention. They might actually trying to validate transactions which are not valid. They might be actually creating blocks that have wrong transactions in it. So consensus algorithm, filters out those things. But if you have a permission blockchain like Hyperledger, and you know exactly who all are going to be the validators and who all will be your block creators, and then you do not necessarily have to have such a strong, expensive consensus algorithm. You may actually can do even a single node Raft, or Raft kind of consensus. So asking yourself, like, why is this consensus required in this situation, and why is a software consensus algorithm can work in this situation? Those kind of things you have to understand, because if you want to really create blockchain based solutions, and you want to have the right level of performance, right level of security, and guarantee of tamper resistance, then you have to understand how those properties, what do those properties come from? Like, the tamper resistance comes from the hash chains, whereas the fact that your network does not get attacked by the users themselves comes from the consensus algorithm. So you have to ask yourself those questions, and you have to know when because if you don't ask these questions, then when you are faced with a situation where your boss says that you have to create this application, tell me which what blockchain framework are you going to use, and what kind of consensus algorithm will you use, or do you want to use permission or permissionless, or what is the sizing of this network? You won't be able to tell because you didn't ask those questions, during learning phase. So this is a kind of thing that asking questions, asking why all the time will actually make your learning much better. And the growth mindset, a lot of people, during the downtime, economic downtime, people who lose their jobs, who first lose their jobs are the ones who become complacent and doing the same thing for last 5 years, 10 years, etc. People who actually keep growing and learning new skills and upgrading themselves and having done something for several years, proving themselves in that, they move on to the next big thing. Those people survive in the job. So therefore, you have to have a growth mindset and not stagnate. Like I have to write some Solidity code for my boss, and then I come home at 5 p.m. That will not that way will not last for too long, and during economic downturn, you will be lost. And plus you won't be able to change jobs if you just stay in the same thing. I mean, you have to be very desirable in the market. It's a market-driven economy, so that is the thing. And blockchain field is very evolving. Every few days you will see new types of blockchain, new protocols, new applications. So you have to evolve with it, right? So you cannot just say, oh, those things are new. I don't want to know. Whatever I know, I'll do that only. That will assure case of failure to grow and failure to keep your job. So you have to always learn.
As we have talked about the skills here, we basically overlook the soft skills as well, right? You presenting yourself is the most important thing. I think we have gotten few folks here who actually have done blockchain, certification, and they are struggling with basically, getting a job in blockchain. They have even worked on a project. I think we'll take that question later. But yeah, like what is your comment about soft skills here when it comes to basically presenting yourself?
So if you expect to get jobs just based on some technical things you learn over a 4 month, 6 month course, then you are not going to make it, right? Like as I earlier said, that you have to have very scientific skills, like by asking why you are doing something, why is this way versus that way, which will help you to actually even crack the interviews where you will be asked, in this kind of problem, in this kind of situation, what would be your choice of blockchain? How will you go about doing designing the entire network, and so on and so forth. So you have to be able to answer such questions, but also you have to be able to answer questions. Many times when we interview, we see people, they actually go on and on and on, but the crux of the matter, which could be said in 1 or 2 sentences, they spend 20-30 sentences without actually ever giving the right answer, or even if the right answer is there, it is so complicated and convoluted in their answer that the interviewers do not understand. Plus, blockchain career requires work in a large team, because blockchain applications are not one person activity. So therefore, you have to have the collaborative skills and communication skills, as well as the ability to work in a team in such a way so that you do not create any kind of conflicts and so on while you are doing the work. And of course, problem solving ability. And as I said, the problem solving ability comes from asking questions while learning why this thing is this way and why that thing is this way, because only then, when you are confronted with a problem, you will be able to see the pattern from your previous asking questions. So that is very important, that you have to be able to solve complex problems, break it down into simpler chunks, and be able to understand what to apply and what not to apply, and so on. So technical proficiency is very important. It's, as I said, it's necessary skill, but it's not sufficient. you have to have the right kind of skills, to interpersonal skill, ability to communicate the idea in a succinct way so that people understand immediately and do not have to fish for the answer within a large amount of words that you throw at them. And then you have to be generous in terms of your gregarious in terms of your dealings with other people, because these are all going to be very important attributes of a good engineer, good software person.
Thank you so much, Professor Sandeep. And the last of it all, ignore ethical considerations.
Yeah, so ethical considerations are critical in this kind of things, because, for example, as you have seen, FTX, the large crypto exchange, world's largest crypto exchange, in last December, it basically went bankrupt because of malpractices and lack of ethics by the founders and the finance officers and so on. Similarly, Binance is the another, and right now the largest exchange, which actually has pleaded guilty to money laundering and other kind, not doing the due diligence for stopping money laundering and other kind of criminal activities in the crypto blockchains. So we are seeing that a lot of these incidents are happening. There is also attacks on the cyber attacks on the exchanges, on the smart contracts, on the bridges between multiple blockchains and so on. So ethics is very important. In computer science, actually, we often do not, many curriculum in computer science, they actually have a course on ethics, because, as you know, with great power comes great responsibility. So if you're going to develop applications that touches people's lives or changes, keeps track of important information like supply chain information, or if you are doing financial things, ethics is very important. And then you have to be able to demonstrate that your ethics principles during interviews and stuff, so that people actually feel comfortable putting you in a job where your responsibility is of great importance.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sandeep, for taking us through the do's and don'ts of Blockchain Career 24. So I think we'll just summarize this a bit. The future of blockchain careers, it comes with diverse opportunities in 2024, disruption and innovation, entrepreneurship, global reach, and continuous learning. So as we can see that we have talked about the skills, and we have talked about the career paths. We have talked about the top do's and don'ts in blockchain career in 2024 and in the future. So you're here because you're interested in basically aspiring for a blockchain career. You're interested in becoming a blockchain practitioner, blockchain developer. So what exactly is stopping you from becoming a blockchain practitioner or a developer? So you can see a quick pull on your screen here. We would love to understand what is the biggest challenge here you're facing when it comes to taking up a blockchain career here. So you can see 4 quick options here. This poll is a multiple choice question, and you can select multiple options because there can be multiple concerns and challenges, right? And also, if this particular poll does not cover your basically challenge which you're facing, you can let us know in the Q&A box or in the chat box here. So I'll just read out these options for you. And the first one is, I can't find a program with a fully comprehensive curriculum. Second one, I wouldn't get the practical exposure I need to become job ready. Third one, I find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos. And the last one, my work schedule won't allow me enough time for learning. So as I was speaking, I can see most of the folks have already shared the responses for the poll here. But I'll just give 10 seconds more for the polls who are still thinking about it. And please do share your responses for the poll here as we move ahead. And we will be taking a few questions from the Q&A box as we have limited time as we move forward. But please do let us know if you have any more questions, your questions related to the blockchain career in general. So I think I can see most of the folks have already shared responses for the poll here. So what's stopping you from becoming a blockchain developer practitioner? So I'll just be ending the poll in 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll and share the results with you folks. So as we can see that we have gotten the highest amount of votes for the second option, 51% votes. I wouldn't get the practical exposure I need to become job ready. And 38% votes for I can't find a program with a fully comprehensive curriculum. 44% votes for my work schedule won't allow me enough time for learning. And 13% votes for I find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Now, moving on, let me quickly introduce you to the IIT Kanpur's professional certificate program in blockchain. This program comes with a comprehensive curriculum with an industry-aligned learning path. You get access to integrated labs, hands-on projects for practical experience, especially for the folks who have no experience in blockchain. This basically projects definitely help you with that practical experience. Online live virtual classrooms with peer and instructor interaction. This program will be flexible to fit your life schedule. The program duration of this one is 4 months. And how is it flexible? You can just give like 5 to 10 hours per week to complete this professional certificate program in blockchain by IIT Kanpur. I think someone asked about the prerequisites of taking up a blockchain career. So sharing that here with you. So eligibility and the prerequisites of the joining the program. So you need to have a basic understanding of mathematics, basic understanding of Java is preferred for joining the program. A bachelor's degree with 50% or higher marks is preferred, and no work experience is required to join the program. So in case basically if you're looking for joining the program with you don't have any work experience, that's totally okay. We just have basically a few good questions here. I think I have dropped those questions for you, Professor Sandeep, on the chat. If you want to take a look, but meanwhile, I'll just take them through the Simplilearn's Job Assist service program, which also this program provides. The Job Assist is for Indian learners. I'll be sharing the link for, I saw that a lot of people have joined from different countries as well. I'll share the program link for you to check out details for your own country region. But through this Simplilearn's Job Assist service, which helps you with your job search, you get access to expert webinars, which is free, and career events with industry leaders. You get options to choose from real-world projects across industries, which you can create a portfolio of projects from. And this basically job assist service is in association with IM Jobs, where you get resume review, interview prep services as well, while you're getting out there once you're done with the program. I think we have a few questions here. I think we'll just take as many questions as possible because we are towards the end of the session here. So I'm just sending questions to you, Professor Sandeep, on the chat here. So we have one question by SM Ravi Kumar. I possess work experience in the areas of sales, marketing, content management, data analytics. Will it help me pursue my career in blockchain?
I think that that seems to be like a sales and marketing type of career. Data analysis that you are talking about is probably market research data. So I don't see a direct problem in if you want to change your career into blockchain, but that experience is nothing, will not help you in any way. You can start to learn blockchain if you want, but that experience will have very little to do with blockchain unless eventually you learn blockchain and work for a company that is building a blockchain-based product and you want to go into sales and marketing of that, which probably is a little very few jobs like that.
Thank you so much, Professor Sandeep, for answering that. Please do let us know, Ravi, if that answers your question or if you have any follow-up questions for Professor Sandeep here. We have one more question here from BP Nagaraja Murthy. Sir, I am aged 58 years. Can I get the career if I complete certification with blockchain development? Basically, I'm a civil engineer working in the position of team leader in a consultancy.
Yeah, so it's very difficult to say, see, I can imagine somebody without any experience whatsoever having basic, understanding of programming and stuff, learning, taking a certification course, and then self-learn, creating his or her own projects, and there are a lot of material that they can use on the internet and books and stuff, and do very well in blockchain. So civil engineering consulting work may not have a direct, direct bearing on whether you can do well in blockchain. You can start a new career in blockchain. It depends on you, your penchant to learn, your ability to get new kind of stuff and all that stuff. But that would be like somebody who is starting something new. Of course, many years of job experience will probably put you in a position where you will be a little more matured in terms of how you learn and how you ask the questions, right questions and stuff like that. But as such, the civil engineering probably have very little to do with it.
Thank you, Professor Sandeep, for answering that question. Please do let us know on the chat or in the Q&A box if that answers the question or if you have any follow-up questions. Folks, we have talked about IIT Kanpur's professional certificate program in blockchain. And here we have bonus offer for folks who are attending this webinar. We would love to know, are you interested in enrolling to the professional certificate program in blockchain by IIT Kanpur? So I'm just launching a quick poll here. This is to understand your interest in enrollment into IIT Kanpur's blockchain certificate program, which is a professional certificate program by IIT Kanpur, and you'll be getting a bonus offer as well for attending this webinar. So if you basically select yes here, you can avail the bonus offer. Also, basically, if you have not decided when to enroll as well, so that is not an issue. We have that option to open throughout the year, and we have a lot of upcoming cohorts which you can join, which I'll be talking more about in the upcoming slides. Also, we have a very few minutes for the session here, because as though the session is very interesting, but we will have to end it somewhere. So, Professor Sandeep, we'll just need 5 more minutes if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think as I was speaking, I can see folks have already started sharing their responses for the interest towards enrollment in the IIT Campus program in blockchain. Meanwhile, I can see that folks are still sharing a lot of questions in the Q&A box. So we'll try to take questions because we've taken a few questions here, but we have crossed the time of the session here as well. I'll be taking you through the enrollment steps of the program. After this, once you share basically your interest towards enrollment into the IIT Kanpur's professional certificate program in blockchain. So I think I'll just give 15 seconds more for folks who are still thinking about sharing their interest in basically if they would like to enroll into this program. Also, let's not forget the bonus offer here. So we have covered the career paths here, we've covered the skills, the upcoming trends in blockchain here. We have talked about the top do's and don'ts in blockchain career development in 2024 and future and beyond. Seems like a lot of basically space is being created for blockchain as a career. And as we can see, a lot of change in the career landscape when basically AI has also come into the space. We see a lot of blockchain jobs coming. So through this program, basically you can start your career, you can aspire towards at least covering the basics, understanding what exactly is blockchain. And the projects you get to work on will basically give you that practical experience as well, which is required, you coming from a completely non-blockchain background. So I think I'll just give 10 seconds more for the poll here, because I see most of the folks have already shared the responses for the poll. And meanwhile, a lot of people have asked about the survey question here. So once this webinar on Zoom basically ends, which I'll be ending in a few minutes, you will get a pop-up of a post-webinar survey where you can enter your full name if you basically want the webinar certificate. So it won't be a link, folks. It will be a post-webinar survey, but you will see that once I end the webinar. So don't worry about it. So I think I see most of the folks have already shared their responses for the poll here, and I see a lot of interest coming towards the enrollment here. As I'm speaking, folks are still voting for it. So I think let me give 10 seconds more for the poll here. Meanwhile, if you have any questions about the program, you can always reach out to us at askus@simplilearn.net. In case we are not able to answer it here. So anyways, once you basically enroll for the program through this poll here, you will be getting admissions call letter from Simplilearn. And they obviously will be taking you in much more detailed walkthrough of the program as well. So I think I see that most of the folks have already shared the responses here. I cannot give more time here. So I think I'll just end this poll in 5 seconds. So last 5 seconds, folks. You can share your interest towards enrollment through this poll here, which you see on the screen. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll. Thank you so much. We saw a lot of interest towards enrollment, so that's great. So let me quickly take you through the enrollment steps here. So you need to submit an application to us. You need to apply at askus@simplilearn.net. Once your application is submitted, we basically be reviewing your qualifications based on the eligibility criteria I've shared earlier. And based on these two steps, you'll be getting a call from learning consultants from Simplilearn, which basically they will be contacting you with an admissions offer, including the bonus offer for attending this webinar. And the program schedule for this one, the next upcoming cohort is on 12th of December. And the classes will be starting on 6th Jan 2024, that is next year. The program fee for the Indian audience here is 1,10,000, including taxes, INR. And we have financing options available as well, which is of 3,744 rupees per month. So we take only few basically folks per cohort. So we only take 25 to 30 folks per cohort in order to make sure you're getting all the attention that is required while you're taking up this program. And also we have a lot of upcoming cohorts basically throughout the year. So as we move on, so I'm pretty sure that you are still planning basically when to basically join the program. So this is a poll to understand basically when do you plan to enroll? How soon do you plan to enroll? So immediately, within 3 months, within 6 months, more than 6 months from now. So now for the folks who have already shared their interest towards enrollment, I would highly recommend to please do let us know. So this will give us an understanding when to reach out to you with the admissions offer letter, and also to avail the bonus offer for attending this webinar. And also, meanwhile, when you're basically sharing your response on this poll here, I'll just share the email ID which I've shared earlier. In case you have any queries, you can always reach out to us at askus@simplilearn.net. Let me just quickly share that over chat here as you're responding to the quick poll, which I've shared here. So I'll just give 5 seconds for this poll here because folks are pretty quick here. And also thank you so much for waiting a few more minutes as before we end the session. So I'll just end this poll in 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much for sharing when do you plan to enroll. Now for the Q&A part, we actually have taken a lot of questions during the session. So let me just quickly see that if we have any questions which we can take up. Okay, I think we have one question. Professor Sandeep, I'll just share with you on the chat here. So I can see that Gautam has asked that, hello sir, I am a mechanical engineer, but learn in developer, basically learning development. I see how to use blockchain in my position is what he has asked.
Well, you don't use blockchain just because you want to use blockchain. You have to have a problem that requires a solution using blockchain, right? So unless you are confronted with a problem that requires a interaction between multiple parties and on a shared data, and that data has to be stored in a high availability manner and also with a tamper-resistant manner, and you want any kind of processing of that data to be of high integrity, and then you may need a blockchain-based solution. So you have to understand, as I said earlier, you have to, while you're learning about blockchain, you become curious and you become, that curiosity will help you to actually learn how to tell where blockchain is applicable and where it is not, and whether blockchain based solution is the best fit for that particular problem. So I think that's where whether you are mechanical engineer or not, if you know about blockchain, what it is and when to use it and why to use it and so on, then you should be able to apply that learning into this. Now, Mr. Murthy is asking whether he can successfully get a job. And I think that nobody can guarantee that somebody can get a job. It all depends on how you learn, what you learn, how you assimilate that, and how you communicate what you have learned, and how you answer questions regarding the very fundamental concepts and fundamental crux of the matter. Then you can get a job, right? So it's very difficult to tell just by virtue of some certification, whether you will get a job or not.
Definitely agree to that, Professor Sandeep. Thank you so much for answering the previous question as well. Also, I can see Ravi says thanks for answering his question. I think we have covered a lot of questions during the session, and we have very limited time because we exceeded the time. So, about the program here, so folks who have already shared interest towards enrollment and also have let us know when do you plan to enroll. So, do you need assistance in enrolling into the program? So you can see if a quick option here, yes and no, you can select one option here. So this will help us understand that if you need assistance, so we can give you that assistance when we will be reaching out to you with the admissions offer letter. So you can know, let us know through this quick poll here before we end the session. And also, folks, we try taking as many questions as possible. So sorry if we were not able to answer your question. In case you want to go through the session recording once again, in case you have missed out something, because it was a very interesting session of top do's and don'ts in blockchain career 24. And also we have talked about the hottest trends and skills, the career paths you can take up in blockchain in 2024 future and beyond. To start with, for someone who's just starting out in blockchain career as well, we've talked about that as well. So thank you so much. We'll be ending the session now. Let me just quickly end this poll. I see that folks have already responded to this poll here. Thank you so much for being an amazing audience and also for a warm participation here when it comes to engagement and poll and the Q&A questions here. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Sandeep for taking the time out for taking us through this interesting career trends masterclass here. Professor Sandeep, would you like to say something to the audience before we end the session?
Yeah, so as I said, you have to be curious, you have to be wanting to learn, you have to be very, persistent in learning and getting answers to all your questions. Be very aware of what's going on, how things are evolving in the technology space, what are the different types of applications where people are using this kind of stuff. Follow various social media channels of experts who are doing webinars, podcasts, etc., and read a lot of news and other material about use of blockchain regulations that governments are coming up with. So all these things together will only ensure that you have an all-round understanding of the technology and where it is, where should it be used, and where it should not be used, because it will only unnecessarily complicate things and won't buy anything substantial. So those kind of things you have to be able to get before you actually jump into this. If you do not have that kind of commitment, then you won't be, just by virtue of getting a piece of paper certificate will not get you anywhere. So if you have that kind of commitment and curiosity and dedication, then you will probably be well served.
Totally agree to that. And Shobna says that it basically is a very interesting and useful session for her. So thank you so much. Once again, Professor Sandeep, thank you so much everyone for joining. And yes, you'll be getting the webinar certificate. Once this webinar ends, you'll be getting a post-webinar survey. Please put down your full name in the webinar survey. You'll have to wait for like few more days to get the certificate. So recording is something that you'll be getting immediately post-webinar. You can look through your email to go through the session recording once again in case you want to go through the recording. So thank you so much, everyone. We'll be ending the session now. Thank you, and we will be coming up with more interesting sessions with Professor Sandeep in the coming months. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.